The garden was perfect. Too perfect. Not the kind of perfection that feels peaceful, but the kind that feels watched. Light moved through the trees like it was alive. Water ran without noise. Even the wind seemed careful, as if it was afraid to disturb something it didn't understand. And in the center of it all, humanity existed without fracture. No fear, no shame, no memory of loss. Only presence, only innocence. But something was wrong. Not outside the garden, inside perception. Because perfection has a strange effect on awareness. It makes the mind curious about what it is being protected from. Eve stood near the trees, listening to silence that felt too complete. Adam was near, but distant in thought. Everything was safe. Everything was given. And yet, something inside her attention began to shift. It did not arrive like a monster. It arrived like a thought she did not recognize as her own. Soft, almost intelligent, almost kind.
The fruit, and you will know everything.
Did God really say, "You must not eat from any tree"?
The tree of the garden. Look how beautiful it is, Eve.
The voice did not come from the air. It came from interpretation, from the space between certainty and curiosity, from the place where questions begin to feel like discovery instead of danger. Eve looked at the tree. It stood there like it had always stood there, still, silent, patient. "You will not surely die," the voice continued, calm, measured, almost reasonable. And that was the first crack. Because truth does not always break under violence. Sometimes it breaks under logic that feels almost correct. The serpent was not loud. It did not need to be. It only needed to introduce possibility. And possibility is the beginning of everything that was never meant to be chosen. You will be like God. That sentence did not feel like temptation at first. It felt like expansion, like becoming more than what you are, like stepping out of limitation into something greater. And that is how deception works. It never begins with evil. It begins with elevation. Eve looked again, and for the first time, the tree did not look forbidden. It looked desirable, not because it changed, but because perception did. The mind does not fall in one moment. It reinterprets reality until the fall feels like progress. She stepped closer. The ground did not warn her. The air did not resist her. Everything remained calm. And that calm was the most dangerous part. Because nothing feels unsafe at the exact moment you decide to redefine safety. The fruit hung there, still, waiting, like a question that already believes it has an answer. God knows, the voice whispered, that when you eat it, your eyes will be opened. Eyes opened. That phrase should have warned her. But curiosity rarely listens to warnings. It only listens to outcomes. What does it mean to see more? To know more? To be more? These questions do not feel like rebellion. They feel like evolution. And so the hand reached, not trembling, not rushing, but deciding. The moment before contact stretched unnaturally. Like reality itself paused to see if she would recognize what she was becoming. Then, the fruit was taken. No thunder, no explosion, no visible judgment. Only silence. The same silence, but now heavier. She ate, and nothing happened, at first. But perception does not break immediately. It rewrites slowly, layer by layer, thought by thought, meaning by meaning. And then it began. The first realization was not knowledge, it was separation. For the first time, she saw herself as something that could be observed, not just exist, but be seen. And in that moment, innocence did not vanish. It fractured. The garden was still beautiful, but beauty now had contrast, and contrast creates awareness. Adam looked at her, and something changed between them without words. A distance that did not exist before, a space where understanding used to be automatic. They looked at each other and realized they were no longer the same kind of being they had been moments ago. Then came fear. Not loud, not dramatic, but immediate. They hid, not because they were told to, but because exposure became unbearable. The voice of God was heard in the garden, not as thunder, but as presence. And for the first time, humanity did not move toward it. It moved away. Where are you? The question was not about location. It was about recognition. Because once deception enters perception, hiding becomes instinct. The serpent did not force anything. It only introduced doubt, and doubt did the rest. The garden remained. The trees remained. The light remained. But humanity didn't remain the same. And that is the true horror of the fall. Not punishment, not exile, but awareness that cannot be undone. Because once you see yourself differently, you never go back to not seeing it. The serpent did not destroy innocence. It convinced innocence to question itself. And innocence cannot survive that question. And somewhere in the silence that followed, the world outside the garden began.